Update. Now, the Employment Equity Commission has proposed that companies who do not comply with the law be prevented from doing business with state-owned entities. The organization released a report on unchanged transformation numbers in the workplace yesterday. It also revealed some scathing details of exploitation of foreign nationals by employers. Dr. Annelie Gildenhuys from the Employment Equity Commission joins us this morning in our studios in Johannesburg to tell us more about this report. Dr. Gildenhuys, good morning to you and thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning, Palesa. Thanks for having us.
Now, just give us the gist of this report. We're reading that not much has changed in terms of top management level, while it's still occupying major positions.
Yeah, the Commission released its 17th report, and it's not much different to last year. And even when we compare it for the period between 2014 and 2016, in private companies at top and senior management level, these positions are predominantly occupied by white males, and compared to the economically active population, of course, that shows a very slow rate of transformation in the workplace. We do see some change in the professional levels, but quite a slow change. And I think what is quite significant to note is that the practices of how we promote, how we appoint, how we develop and train seems to also favour white male groups more than any other, which of course is a bit contrary to the objectives of the Employment Equity Act.
So that should be the point of departure. That's where they should look into fixing this whole situation. But the Minister also made mention of the fact that there is a lack of appetite for transformation, especially in big companies.
Well, I guess this is what we refer to. Whilst on one point, a lot of people say, why do we still need affirmative action?
Yeah.
When we do look at the actual statistics, and it's important to note that these aren't the Commission statistics. The statistics are based on what employers submit annually. So this is the picture of the workplace profile. And here we see, compared to the economically active population, very, very slow transformation. It essentially has not changed at top levels. And whilst people often say, but we don't have the relevant skills, we still do have to skill people that are suitably qualified for that level. What we are seeing, though, is that training at executive and senior and top level or strategic change is not happening.
Yeah, and let's look at the issue of fines. These big companies being fined for not abiding by these employment equity laws. The Minister also talked about they're looking into prosecuting these companies. What do you make of that?
Right, so let's be clear. The Employment Equity Act has two main chapters. The one is Chapter 2 that talks about non-discrimination, and that applies to everybody. Chapter 3 talks about affirmative action measures, and it should be noted that businesses have actually started complying a lot more in submitting its annual reports and its employment equity plans, and that we should celebrate. However, what she means by that is that whilst company strives or puts goals to self-imposed numerical goals, very often they simply don't achieve them and just carry on. Now, what the Minister was referring to is that there is a section in the Act, Section 53, that has always been there, but it has not been enacted, or it's not active, in that if businesses wanted to do business with the state, then they would need to get a certificate of compliance. Now, that compliance would refer to both non-discrimination as well as achieving of meaningful or substantive affirmative action.
Yeah, so in the past year, we've had about 21 companies that were fined.
That's correct.
For not abiding. Yeah. But you also made mention of the fact that a proposal, rather, that companies who do not comply with the law, they should be prevented from doing business with state-owned entities. Do you think that that is sufficient?
Well, that is the clause that I was just referring to, and it is at this point the Commission's recommendation that Section 53 now be enacted, and that compliance of companies are measured.
All right. And males are also still very much dominating when it comes to top positions, as we've seen it is the case with top management level. But how do numbers differ between this report and the last one that was released? You started by saying that there isn't much of a difference if you were to compare the current
2016 and 2017 report change is really marginal. And what we have to also understand is, while we're focusing perhaps on top and senior managerial level, these are not many positions. There aren't many positions. So if you look at the numbers, then we accept that the percentage change could be smaller. And we are seeing the somewhat pleasing movement more at professional level. But it is true. And the other worrying aspect that has been noted is our propensity to focus on foreign national. There seems to still be a high level of foreign nationals occupying this position.
And that is for exploitation, I believe.
Well, the Commission is currently investigating the reasons for that, and there are a number of explanations which we would like to thoroughly understand as to why there is such an increase, particularly in education.
How prevalent is this scenario of having foreigners instead of you South Africans working for these big companies?
Well, if we talk at top and senior level, we do know that 78% of positions at top and senior level, top level, is occupied by white males, compared to 14.4% of black groups. And if you then put that in perspective, 3.2% of foreign nationals occupy top positions, and it's often got to do with multinationals and companies operating in South Africa. When we go to senior level, it's similar trends.
All right. So what happens, or what should happen from here going forward?
The way forward for the Commission is that, as I said, we've recommended looking clearly at what is compliance, what can affirmative action do, and what should we do. Particularly, we're also talking about the investigation into foreign nationals. We are also very specifically looking at what the public said to us in its engagements, in the sectoral engagements, where many sectors called for sector targets, and this is something that is currently looked at, that we look at goals particular to sectors.
All right, there's so much to talk about on this report, but we do not have enough time. Thank you so much for having clarified these certain points.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. That is Dr. Annelie Gildenhuys, the Commissioner of the Commission of Employment Equity, talking to us about the Employment Equity Report that was released yesterday. Let's take a break here on Morning Live. We'll be back right after this.